So let me take the last sentence and then we begin. The point is that you will have to learn to coordinate your sexual desires without overfeeding one of you. Another important fact to keep in mind is that sex between a husband and a wife need not be spontaneous. It means that it doesn't always have to be spontaneous. Forget all those ones where they watch for film. Now lie you. The movies make it seem like sex is always an exhilarating moment of passion that happens naturally without planning. It's a lie. Any idea how much scripting and setup goes into making it seem that way? It's a movie. In reality, married couples don't necessarily wait for some mysterious erotic energy to grab them. As the pennas say, some of the most satisfying sexual encounters between you and your spouse will often be the one you plan and talk about. In fact, the more you talk about your sex life, the more likely it will be fulfilling. And that is why we've included an extensive workbook exercise on this topic. And there is a quote here I would like to read to us, getting your sex life off a great start. There is hardly anyone whose sexual life, said some said, if it were to be broadcast, would not fill the world at large with surprise and horror. And there is another subheading here titled, What About Living Together? When we talk to engaged couples about increasing the odds of lifelong love, we often get a question about cohabitation. Not so long ago, it was called shacking up, and it was rare. About 1 in 141 couples. Today, it is closer to 2/3 of couples. To put it another way, in 1960, about 450,000 unmarried couples lived together, and today it has even increased. Now, the number is more than 7.8 million. Why? Pragmatic reasons such as sharing the bills makes cohabiting appealing for some. And many believe that it is one of the best ways to prepare for marriage. Okay. In fact, the National Marriage Project at the University of Virginia found that nearly half of 20-something agreed with that statement. You would only marry someone if he or she agreed to live with you first, so that you can find out whether you really get along. But about 2/3 said they believe that moving in together before marriage was a good way to avoid divorce. That's what we all believed, right? So does cohabiting lead to good marriages or the polar opposites? Well, we're about to find out. Increasing the likelihood of divorce. Here's what we know. Couples who cohabit before marriage, and in brackets, and especially before an engagement, tend to be less satisfied with their marriages and more likely to divorce than couples who do not. These negative outcomes are called the cohabiting effect. Researchers characterize this effect as sliding, not deciding, in brackets. Moving from dating to sleeping over a lot to cohabitation can be a gradual slope. One not marked by rings or ceremonies, or sometimes even a conversation. Couples bypass talking about why they want to live together and what it will mean. But the detrimental side of the cohabitation effect is more than just sliding, in quote. Psychologist Meg Jay, author of The Defining Decade, says it is due to gender asymmetry. Women tend to see cohabiting as a step towards marriage, while some men see it as a way to stall marriage. It is easy to see how such conflicted, often unconscious motive could be unhealthy. It is easy to see how such conflicted, often unconscious motives could be unhealthy. One thing men and women do agree on, however, is that their standards for a living partner are lower than they are are lower than they are for a spouse. Now, he's saying that when you live with your partner, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, that the craving for a lifelong partner actually decreases. Cohabitants want to feel committed to their partners, yet they are often confused about whether they have consciously chosen their mates, whether they have consciously chosen their mates. This happens a lot. Relationships founded on convince or ambiguity can interfere with the process of claiming the people we love. A life built on maybe you will do simply does not feel as dedicated as a life built on top of the we do of marriage. I don't know if you understand that. It's just simply trying to say that when you cohabit with your partner, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, as time goes on, you're often uncertain, and because you've been cohabiting with this person now, you are likely to now accept that person. Even if you now end up getting married to this person, it's going to be on the basis of maybe this person will do, because we are humans, right? And we are never satisfied, and you start seeing the things that you don't like about that person before you get married, and you might not, all this uncertainty is setting. A life built on top of maybe you will do simply does not feel as dedicated as a life built on top of the we do of marriage. Perhaps that is why, long before all the research studies were conducted, Paul wrote, "Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. We must not pursue the kind of sex that avoids commitment and intimacy, leaving us more lonely than ever. If you are considering moving in together before you marry, or you are already doing so, it is a topic worthy of discussion with a trusted counselor, marriage mentor, or minister."